Hello, thanks for joining us. You're watching IMAG, your weekly news program. Here's a look on what's coming up in today's show. Bacary Goudiaby is a Senegalese journalist and writer living in France. The author of the novel Le Concurrent de la is our guest. In this interview, he tells us more about his personal background, as well as the Association of the Senegalese of the Diaspora he is leading. He is interviewed by Adam Mignon.
Today we are with Bacary Goudiaby, a journalist and a writer at the same time. I don't know, so just can you introduce yourself for people to know about you?
I am a journalist living in Lyon in France. I've been living there more than 20 years now. I went there for studies. I was a student at that time. And once we finished our studies, so for the first time we managed to come back. Because as a scholarship, we aim to come back to work for our country, see? And then when we tried to come back, it was not as successful as we wanted or as we expected to. So I went back to Europe, to Lyon, where I live ever since. And now I'm a journalist. I'm working in the station called Radio Pluriel.
It seems that you're more a journalist than a writer, or vice versa. So can you tell us exactly about your professional aspect?
When I wanted first to practice in journalism, I had 2 minutes in a show, you see. I had 2 minutes. At the time in France, it is at the earlier 90s. It's not very easy to talk about Africa. For them, Africa or black culture is just singing and dancing. And they knew Ismail Lô, Youssou N'Dour, Koffi Olomide, Papa Wemba. So I had 2 minutes and 50 seconds. For 2 years, I dealt with this. And one day, I told to my director, you see what? I think that Africa need more than what I have in the station. At the time, I was a student. Then they told me, so, do you think that you'll be able by yourself to manage a whole program? I say, yes, sir, I will. So they gave me around about 6 months in order to make my proof that I'm able to do all this, you see? Then, at that time, there was another station, a very big one, who started with African program. So I had a challenge, a very big challenge. And after 6 months, we had opinion studies about people who listening. My program was the first one. They said, that's great. Why not to go further, you see? I had 1 hour. So they gave me 2 hours a week. And step by step, I manage this program.
Let's say that at the same time you're managing a magazine which is called the Sunu Diaspora. So how does this magazine contribute to connecting you?
I think I am the man in France who African, I say African diaspora, right, are more in touch with. Of course, there are other known journalists, but my job for me is not to be known by the high. It is to be with people, because I say, if you want your voice, your words to be heard, you want your voices to be known, you want your voices to be heard, you'll have a media. We are the media. We are not. We are giving people, African black people, the chance to talk to everybody. Numerous Senegalese women and men living in Europe and everywhere in Western countries who are doing very, very good things. So our aim is to make people known, heard and seen. How? By using the communication we get.
We come back now to an important part, which is the book you've released called Le Concurrent de la. Can you tell us about the book, the creation of this book? How did you come to write it?
The Concurrent de la, as a Senegalese living in Europe, I have been really rocked by 2 events for me. It is September 11th and the French election 2001. The National Front, what they call the Front National, Jean-Marie Le Pen, win the first ballot. And for me, it couldn't be possible. How in a country, a high country, a great country like France, we can have people voting, choosing racism as a way of ruling their life. These are the two great events that made me write this.
Okay, Mr. Goudiaby, your last word, please.
My last word is just to say thank you to Senegalese people, to you, my colleagues. I found here in RTS because you see, I was a young boy. I was born in the suburb, in the suburb here in Dakar, and I used to pass by this house, you see, and I say maybe one day I will go through the door, and I'm very happy to be inside and to meet people like you.
Well, that's it for this news program. Until next week, stay tuned on RTS1.